Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to show you how to set up the Industrial Crafter for Rust Console Edition. Right now we're doing this on Testing Staging Branch, but this will be on normal Rust by the end of the month, August 2024. Okay, so we're going to show you two different types of builds here. We're going to have the Industrial Crafter be fed by a standalone box with materials in it, mats, and then it's going to craft an item, and then it will output it in the box under the level 2. The next feed will also be, or it should be the second position for the Industrial Crafter on top of the workbench, and this will feed into an automatic system that is automatically smelting materials and putting it back in the box here. So to show you that you can plug this into a modular design, or you can also do standalone crafting, which is also, I mean, both of them are very useful, and also showing you that you can have them connect together two different types of inputs and then have them all go out into the output box here. So I know we have a lot of extra stuff here, so I'll try to make this as easy as possible. Just know all of this extra stuff on the ceiling is the automatic sorting system. Another video for another time. But, alright, so let's start with this. The Industrial Crafter is a level 2 workbench item. You need to have a level 2 workbench to research it and to craft it. So we'll go ahead and bust out the tech tree here and show you. It is on the electrical side here, starting with the medium rechargeable battery to the generator. Oops, down to the, what is this, the random switch, was that searchlight, and then the electric furnace. So you're already probably going to have electric furnace anyways, and it's just 2 down from there. So this is a 75 scrap blueprint, and it does cost 3 high quality and 2 tech trash to craft. Also uses 1 unit of power when it's on, which is great. There's been a huge update to the electrical system to make things a bit easier to manage. Okay. So one thing really in general, because I know it's kind of confusing, we have the thing we want to do, which is in the middle here. And with the conveyor system and storage adapters are just how we interface with the industrial system. That's these guys right here. Let me bust that out. This guy right there. Actually, if I have the hammer out, I might there you go. So just know, if you have a thing you want to do in the middle, so industrial craft, you'll have to have a conveyor on the left, and you'll have to have a conveyor on the right. The one on the left will feed into the thing you want to do, and the industrial conveyor will pull the thing out that's been crafted on the right. So the thing you want to do in the middle, conveyor on the left, conveyor on the right, essentially. Okay, so let's, with that being said, we do know we want to craft a medical pen. I had to think about that for a second. So there's a caveat with this, right? You can already see this is a blueprint. It's not the blueprint that's in your head, but the standalone blueprint that we typically just hit Y on to research, and then it goes away instantly. This has to be the blueprint itself. So even if you do know it, you'll have to go upstairs and put a medical pen in the research table and not learn the medical pen, and then take it downstairs. So just know that's a thing. And if we're going to do something like, let's say we have a standard blueprint, so bandages, you can stick those in there. Obviously, you're not going to get any benefit from it by learning it, but you can actually, this is a default BP, and you can make it a blueprint to pull out and then use in the Industrial Crafter if you so desire. So you can start to see how all of this can be quite useful. All right, so let's do the first setup here for the medical pens. So the Industrial Crafter here at the bottom, we're going to do the medical pen. So we'll need to input the items for this, which will be, what is that, low-grade metal fragments and cloth. So this is the setup where it's going to be a standalone, where materials sit in a box here, which is very common. A lot of times that's what we end up doing. So that's going to be the feed box for those materials, and we already have the blueprint in there. So let's go ahead and put the storage adapter on top of this box here. Beep. And let's bring over, since we're going to have 2 different types of inputs at some point, I'm going to stick a combiner down here and then another splitter. It's always good to have like extra inputs, kind of like the way root combiners work. If you have a couple extra slots open, it makes it so you can expand the system a bit easier without having to disconnect anything. So from this box here, actually this would be better. Let's set up our conveyor here. So this is going to feed our bottom industrial here, and I'm actually trying to space this in such a way where it's not conflicting, because the biggest thing right now is our hitbox for these little nodes is actually quite large, and if items are very close to each other, it's kind of hard to place. Sometimes you have to get high and low. You'll see why. Eventually we're going to have a splitter up here taking the inputs from various locations. So hopefully this is spaced out enough where it's not going to conflict. Actually, let's give that a shot here real fast. Can we get that one? Can we get that one? Okay, yeah, just barely, so we got it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the output from this, which I think will just make a grayish color maybe. And we'll have it run along this edge of the wall here, and then we'll have it feed into this first combiner. Because essentially what we want to do is have these guys pull from two different types of systems. So we're combining the different inputs here, and then we're going to push it out to a splitter, which does make a difference. So again, that's how you combine different, if you had different modules, that's how you would do it. So the conveyors are smart enough to pull from the right location. And then what we're going to do here is after it hits the combiner, it goes to the splitter. And I think we're going to make this one purple for the output. So this splits, this is the input. And these split out to 3 different locations here. So we're just going to feed this into the conveyor here. And then we're going to have this feed into the actual industrial crafter. So it's always good to set these filters when you can, because when there's no filter, it's actually going to pull everything. And again, be very careful you don't use that right thumbstick to set the filter mode. You want this on any. You just want to add filters. So in this case, we're going to add, I think it's just resource. So it's going to be cloth is 1. And, whoops. And then the other one's going to be low grade. We're going to leave everything at 0. It was a cloth, low grade, and then metal fragments. Man, I had to really think about that for a second. Am I okay? There we go, metal fragments. Okay, so that's going to be the feed for the medical pen. So that should work. Also, let me backtrack here and let's get the power going. So just so you know, this actually does not take a lot of power at all. I have a lot of extra stuff set up here because we've got a lot of extra things like the automatic sorting, the smelting automatic module here, and some other things upstairs. So actually you don't need a medium battery and a bunch of solar panels, but that's what I have here. You can actually run this off a small battery, but in this case we're coming from a medium battery upstairs, so this is going to be our power that comes out. So what we're going to do is we're going to feed these conveyors. They do have a pass-through, which is very useful. So we're actually going to bring it up here and then feed this guy directly into, and be careful you're putting it in the right spot because there's a ton of inputs here. The power in, I'm actually going to paint that red so it's a bit easier to tell what's what. Actually, I should probably do it orange because then it's just slightly off so you know these are the conveyors. How about that? How about that? Did I actually paint it? I did. Is that so close it's like hard to tell? Kind of with this lighting. All right, well, that's cool. So what we're going to do is, hopefully we have enough spot. Okay, so we do have enough space for the other one, so we're going to do that later. So that's good to go. What we can do is we can pull this into, actually, yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and power our industrial crafter. I guess we could use the pass-through here. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. And if we don't, we've got a bunch of branches up here, so we can do that as well. So we have 3 inputs, off, on, and then we have the power. Again, this only uses 1 unit of power, and we don't have it turned on yet. I have not pressed that button, but we're going to need this to feed. So what we're going to do here is we're going to turn this on, and it should start feeding these materials into the box here. There we go. 60, 60, and 120. Actually, how much does it take to make a med pen? I totally forgot. Isn't it like 60, 60, and I'm sorry, 10, 10, 15. So what we could do here is on the filter, we can change the way the filter goes in. If I remember this correctly, I think it's maximum. What was the 15? Was it the? It's the cloth. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the max for each of these. So if we go into the filter itself, modify filter. And then, okay, actually right here it says stops transferring items of this type when the destination deployable item reaches this amount. So maximum. In this case, we're going to put down 15. That way we only have it one chunk, because what happens is things can get backed up in here, and then one item can dominate over time, and that's something you don't really want. Whoops, I meant to hit modify. So 10, 10, and 15. Confirm. So if we pull this out here, it should just do these a little bit, whoops, a little bit at a time. And then stop when the low grade hits. Did the low grade already come out? Oh, it most certainly did. Okay, good thing we did that. So this should put, there we go. So this is the right amount to actually craft 1 med pen, which is great. So what we can do now is we can turn on the industrial crafter. And this is only going to feed in when it has enough for another set of med pens. And you can hear that stamp 1 out. Beautiful. And And then what we're going to do is we're going to set the output here, because remember we need a conveyor on the left of the item we're going to do, and one on the right. So one to feed it and one to pull items out. Is there not enough space there? Hopefully we have enough room to do this. This is super loud, I know, right? What? I can't hear you. So we're going to make this hot pink where it comes out. Oh, I'm sorry, purple. It's going to feed up the wall here. I know things are a bit cramped, so bear with me. I know we have a bunch of ins and outs absolutely everywhere. So while that's crafting med pens, am I a bit too close on that side? Man, finding those nodes are so impossible. I'm going to actually slide this over one. Pick it up, and then slide it over a little bit further. And this should be purple and fed. So what's happening here is this is feeding in items from the... Actually, I'm going to change the color one more time to like white or something. No, I'm sorry. Let's make it green. There you go. And then we'll have this feed into the output box under the workbench, which is a small box. So we're going to have to slide around real close and then drop it down to the floor, to the floor, to the floor, and then feed up in here. So what it's going to do is take the med pens. Actually, we could leave this filter as empty, but in this case, what we can do is we can add a medical pen. So I think it's just... I think I just searched straight up. Nope, not a med pen. Oh, right, just kidding. We'll just go for the actual... Is it medical? There we go. Medical syringe. Excuse me. Stops transferring when the destination deployable. So if we have 3 med pens in our box downstairs, this will stop. But that's in the box downstairs. It'll have a full buffer here at the top. So you'll notice we already have 4 med pens and it stopped. We actually don't have this conveyor running. So when this box down here has 2 med pens, this will stop transferring. And then this will in turn will stop because it won't have any more room to craft, if that makes sense. So it's kind of a way to not overdo your crafting. And it crafts and it has some in a buffer, so when some people pull things out, you're like good to go. Okay, in this case, let's go ahead and feed this conveyor over here. Actually, this is going to be for the top one here, but we'll feed this orange line here over to the output. We're probably going to rewire this one more time, but... Oh, that's right. We fed the industrial crafter. You know what? Let's do this. Let's feed this up to this guy here. This is our other conveyor. We're actually going to do another one at the top here. Hopefully we got everything good. And then this is going to feed to the other conveyor on the other side, which is just around here. Ta-da! So if we turn this on, it's going to just feed out 2 medical pens down here. And then it will stop. Then it should open up space here to craft 2 more. And since I unplugged this, we're actually going to have to wire this up one more time. So let's go ahead and bring this down. I knew I had it over there for a reason. So we're going to step up here. I know, these nodes are so hard to get to. Sometimes going up high and low can help. So we're just going to run this cable over for our industrial crafters in case we need to adjust the power levels to them. We can do so. We're just going to pull it out here and then feed it to this branch, and then the output of this branch is going to go down to our industrial crafter right here. Power in, and we can turn it back on. So you can see right here it's going to craft 2 more to fill the void. Is it on? There we go. And then since this condition's already been met because we have 2 here, it should stop. But what we're going to do to get this active one more time is after it fills the slot here, we're going to pull out 2 med pens, or 1 med pen, and then we'll see if it actually crafts 1 more. So you can start to see, like, if you have an automatic system for, like, boxes or other bases, or even lockers, once things are pulled out, this can fill that void. So if we just pull out 1 med pen for ourselves, this condition's not met anymore. So it goes, oh, okay, I can transfer. So it pulls 1 out of here, creating a void. So it's going to craft 1 more, and then it will stop. But the power is still being consumed as it is still on. So keep in mind that's a real deal. All right, so the next thing we're going to plug in here is the box here in our system here. This input box has both building materials, raw and also cooked. This comes from a drop box outside of the sealed bunker up here. I know that's not relevant to this right now, but just so you know how the system works, it actually pulls from the drop box here, gets sorted in our system in the ceiling, and then those building materials go down to the green line here. What's interesting about this box is it also will feed things into our furnaces here, and then it takes those cooked materials and then pushes them out to the same box one more time. So if you actually see, I have just that highlighted, so yellow goes back into this here, and then it gets thrown back into the box. So essentially we have a bunch of cooked metal fragments and a bunch of GP and raw sulfur and charcoal. So as you know, as you start to cook things, charcoal and sulfur start to really back up over time. So it would be nice if this thing actually started to craft GP on its own. So once this system's going, actually let me fire this one up. This should automatically start up. It should feed all of these furnaces at one time. Looks like they're mostly full, so what I'm going to do is spark this. So it's actually going to start filling up this box. So it would be nice if we had another industrial crafter always cooking GP to some degree. By the way, if you're looking for this modular furnace setup here, I should say the Easy Auto Smelt. I've already got a video on that. I'll go ahead and link that now in the upper right hand corner if you want to go check that out. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this system and use this second industrial crafter and always have it do GP, and we'll feed it into the same circuit here that will dump it into this box, and we'll create a condition here where we're like, okay, after we have X amount of GP, go ahead and stop. So since we have the industrial crafter plugged in there, we're going to make a red cable here at the branch. I know, these freaking nodes, man. And then we'll have it connect like this. It should, not the toggle. Are there 4 slots in this? Is there a toggle on the backside? Oh, there is. Okay. I thought there was only 3. You learn something new every day. Okay, so this one here is the one for GP. So we're going to put this up here. And I think our standard GP is, I forget the ratio. It's not 1:1. It's 30-20. So what we can do on this guy up here is we're going to go 30-20 for our materials. So let me slide this over. Resources, 30. I think it's 30 charcoal, right? 30 charcoal and then 20 sulfur, if I'm not mistaken. Why? It's like, I should know these quantities off top, but my brain is shutting down. So we're going to take cooked sulfur here. So the reason why we're feeding 2 different locations and also doing this off the automated system is you can start to see how you can really get all of this stuff set up any way you want. It has a lot of versatility. All right, so we have the conditions. Maximum 30-20 for this industrial crafter, which should go into the input pile, and then the output should start down there. And let's go ahead and get these pipes connected. So we have our industrial in, which is this guy here, which is our gray pipe. And then this actually goes to the, whoops, this goes to the medical pen box. But in this case, we want to pull it from our materials box. It's both cooked and uncooked materials. So you can see here, our green line actually feeds from our sort system. The green line also feeds into the furnaces, but we have another output here we can use to feed our input for the industrial crafters. I strongly recommend using Builder's Paradise and setting things up. So what we're doing is we're just feeding in here. Let's go ahead and make that. Did we make it white last time? I think we did. Let's make it white. Ding. So it's going to take raw materials from this box, so charcoal and cooked sulfur from this location. And then it'll feed it up here. So we can take from this, remember all of this goes into the splitter here. And then as you go up, we have multiple outputs to feed into industrial conveyors. So in this case, we've got this guy right up here. And I forget what color we used last time. A lot of times changing elevation here really helps. Come on, jump up. And then this will feed into the industrial crafter here. And we'll have the output feed back up the wall here. I think it was pink is what we used for this one. And then feeds into this. So you can see how this conveyor is actually pulling from 2 industrial crafters. You see how we kind of consolidated things? It's very nice. Actually, let me make this pink so it's a bit easier to see. I'm actually just hitting the node here with the color and then hitting reload button, and it paints those. So yeah, there you go. You can start to see how that's all split up. I'm going to take a drink of Tactical Cylinder. Ah. Okay, so I'm going to turn off this filter here. Actually, you know what? This isn't on yet, is it? Alright, so we're just going to turn this one on and see if it feeds it correctly. So we have the blueprint for what we're going to craft. The input should only feed in what we need, which is 3020. Beautiful. Then when we turn this on, it should craft and fill up all of these slots. And then it's going to, you know what? Let's go ahead and do this, because we kind of have a buffer, right? Kind of. And again, if you have a different type of conveyor, it can actually pull everything out of this. So it'll be like a non-issue. So right here, let's go ahead and add the filter. That's going to be GP. Man, what is that under? Would it be under resources? I think it is. Resources? Because it's... Is it resource? I mean, it is, but it's a crafted resource. Is there a difference? Oh, there it is. Okay, so minimum says stops transferring items of this type when the origin deployable item reaches this amount. Buffer, it says in this configuration used to transfer an item type by a certain amount, especially useful when the number is below 200. In this case, let's just say when our output box reaches 20, that's when it's going to stop. You can actually put a couple other items in here to maybe stop it up so it's not actually going to do that. So you know what, let's actually plug it up with stone so we don't have all that GP loosey-goosey out there, right? Because we could do GP, but it's like, do you really want 3,000 GP just sitting in there? I think we can stop it up this way. I'm pretty sure we can. So it's actually, since we have a filter set on the conveyor that's exiting this, it's going to craft this, and it should just stop, and these stone pieces should stay there because there's nothing else pulling these out. So it's actually kind of a good way to just keep it rolling. So if everything's working correctly, this filter's on. This one's feeding it. Obviously, it's already met the conditions here for the input. So let's go ahead and turn it on, and it should take a second to spool up. Yes. We're going to get 990. One more crafts. And now it should start transferring because it's going to overflow the top here. So this should go down here. And we have 20. Perfect. And it actually stopped because we're full on the top here. Perfect. So if we want to change this to, I don't know, let's modify this to, try to think of a realistic amount. Just do like 200. It's going to pull the 200 from the buffer now, and then it's going to stop and replenish those when it's done. So it should have already moved this down here because we already have 1,000 GP as a buffer. I say 200. Almost there. There we go. So it's met its condition. And this will craft the void, which is 200, which has already worked its way down. So you can start to see how useful this is. So not only can you have your automatic smelter working to cook these materials and then bring them back around to this box, but it can take those materials, combine them into GP, and then put them in this output box down here, including also, when you're out and about, if you have enough materials in your input box here, you'll also be crafting medical pens. All of this while the base is completely sealed, because remember, this can be sealed. And while you're out there doing farming, hitting different monuments and whatnot, you can come back here and then drop things off in the drop box and have the base cook and craft things for you based on your needs. So if you are interested in this base design that's being used here, this is called the wedge bunker base. More specifically, this is the barn variant, so this is the barn wedge. I'll go ahead and link that now on the end screen if you are interested, and we'll have more of these videos here to help you through your wipe, whether you're a solo, duo, or trio. Alright, hopefully we'll see you in the next video. Love ya, bye!